The Cursed Violin. Inside a quaint, dusty antique shop tucked away in a forgotten corner of town, an old violin sat silently on a shelf, its polished wood gleaming under the dim light. The shopkeeper, an elderly man named Mr. Hawthorne, often warned curious customers about its dark past, a legend whispered through generations. It was said that the violin was cursed, belonging to a once great musician who had vanished mysteriously after a disastrous performance. Despite the warnings, a young musician named Clara, desperate to find an instrument that resonated with her soul, could not resist the allure of the cursed violin. She purchased it, enchanted by its beauty and the stories that clung to it like cobwebs. As she carried it home, a chill ran down her spine, but excitement drowned out the fear. That night, under the glow of a single candle, Clara began to play. The moment her fingers brushed the strings, a haunting melody filled the air, so beautiful it brought tears to her eyes. Yet with every note, a strange darkness seeped into the room, and shadows danced along the walls. Clara dismissed it as mere imagination and continued to play, feeling more connected to the music than ever before. But as days turned into weeks, Clara began to change. Her passion for music consumed her, and she found herself practicing late into the night. The violin seemed to guide her, urging her to play faster, harder, as if possessed by an unseen force. Friends and family grew worried, noticing the dark circles under her eyes and the wild intensity of her performances. One evening, while practicing a particularly difficult piece, Clara felt a sudden shift in the air. The melody turned sinister, echoing with the ghostly whispers of long-lost souls. Terrified, she tried to stop, but her fingers moved against her will, the violin pulling her deeper into a grasp. She could hear the cries of the musician who had once owned it, desperate and tormented. As Clara played on, the walls of her room warped, revealing a dark realm filled with sorrowful figures. They reached out to her, their faces twisted in agony, their eyes pleading for release. The music had become a conduit, binding her to their suffering. Frantically, Clara sought help, visiting Mr. Hawthorne to uncover the truth about the cursed violin. He listened intently as she recounted her experiences, his expression grim. The musician was cursed for a reason, he explained. He played his heart out, but in doing so, he bound his soul to the violin. It demands a toll. When the music calls, it takes a part of you. Desperate to break the curse, Clara returned home, determined to destroy the violin. But when she reached for it, the instrument shuddered violently, as if alive. The chilling voice echoed in her mind. You cannot escape. You belong to me now. In a final, desperate act, Clara smashed the violin against the floor, splintering the wood and sending shards flying. But as it broke, a dark mist billowed from the wreckage, swirling around her, engulfing her in its cold embrace. The mournful cries intensified, drowning out her screams. Mr. Hawthorne searched in vain for Clara, but she had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the haunting echoes of her last performance. The townsfolk whispered of a new melody that filled the night air, an eerie tune that could chill the bones of anyone who heard it. And so, the legend of the cursed violin grew, a tale of a musician consumed by her art, forever bound to the darkness that dwelled within its strings. If you listen closely on moonlit nights, you might still hear Clara's ghostly music, a mournful reminder of the price of obsession and the haunting power of a cursed instrument.